Why does King Charles look more exhausted than ever? The public appearances are fewer. The smiles don't reach his eyes. And behind palace doors, whispers have grown louder. The king is tired. But this isn't just about age or duty. This is about something far more personal and far more complicated. Because many believe that the real reason behind King Charles's quiet unraveling isn't the crown itself, but the woman standing beside him, Queen Camilla. This is the story of how a king's lifelong dream is turning into his greatest burden, and how his own queen might be the one tipping him over the edge. When Charles finally ascended to the throne in 2022, it was the culmination of a lifetime of waiting. For over 7 decades, he lived in the shadow of Queen Elizabeth II, an icon, a legacy, and a monarch whose shoes were impossible to fill. But when she passed, the world turned its eyes to Charles, and just like that, he became king. This was meant to be his moment. A new era, a chance to reshape the monarchy for the modern age. And yet, less than 3 years into his reign, the glow has faded. Charles looks weary, emotionally drained, physically taxed, and increasingly absent from the spotlight. Royal watchers are asking, what went wrong so quickly? And as the mystery deepens, attention is turning inward, towards someone who has been at his side through it all. Queen Camilla. For years, Camilla was cast as the quiet companion, the loyal consort, the woman who stood behind the man. But insiders now say that image was always a facade. From the very beginning, Camilla had plans, not just to be by Charles's side, but to be a central figure in the monarchy itself. Her rise from mistress to queen consort was no small feat. It was a carefully navigated journey through scandal, skepticism, and decades of public backlash. And once she got to the top, she wasn't content to simply stay in the background. Camilla's influence has steadily grown, not just in ceremonies and appearances, but behind closed doors. She's been sitting in on high-level meetings. She's been weighing in on official matters. And increasingly, she's been carving out a place for herself at the very core of royal power. Some call it ambition. Others call it takeover. Behind the palace walls, King Charles is reportedly exhausted, and it's not just from royal duties. Sources close to the royal household say that Camilla's constant push to expand her role has become a quiet point of strain between the couple. Charles, known for his emotional sensitivity and introspective nature, is said to feel overwhelmed. Privately, he has confided in longtime friends and advisors that while he values Camilla's partnership, he finds her relentless need to be involved exhausting. The crown is heavy enough without having to constantly manage a spouse's ambitions. And in Camilla's case, those ambitions show no sign of slowing down. To the public, Charles and Camilla present a united front. They smile, wave, and attend royal functions together as if nothing is amiss. But behind the curtain, their relationship is more complex than anyone imagined. Charles has always walked a delicate tightrope, balancing his royal responsibilities with personal loyalty. And with Camilla now wielding influence over everything from event planning to media narratives, it's a balance that's becoming harder to maintain. Insiders claim there have been disagreements, tense moments where Charles has had to gently remind Camilla to ease off, only to be met with resistance. The queen consort, after all, is not used to being sidelined. Not anymore. Camilla's power is growing, not just in visibility, but in strategic control. Royal observers have noted her increasing sway over internal communications, press releases, and even the family's public image. And with Charles appearing more withdrawn, some are wondering, who's really running the show? It's not just speculation. Reports have surfaced that key decisions on which royals to spotlight, which events to emphasize, and how to position the monarchy for the public have Camilla's fingerprints all over them. Some senior aides are reportedly uneasy. They view Camilla's influence as overreaching, even destabilizing. The monarchy, after all, was built on hierarchy and tradition, not the ambitions of a single consort. But Camilla doesn't seem to care. She's ascendant, and she's making sure her presence is felt at every level. And what about Charles? Look closer at recent events. The king's schedule has thinned. His public appearances are more sporadic, and when he does show up, he often appears tired, his posture more slumped, his energy lower, his spark dimmed. Palace sources whisper of a man slowly wearing down under the pressures of the crown and the pressures at home. Even Charles's closest allies are beginning to notice. Some fear he may be silently approaching burnout. There are growing questions about his health. Not medical crises, but long-term fatigue, the kind that eats away at resolve. And it's becoming harder to ignore. No one is suggesting that Charles and Camilla are heading for a public rupture, but the strain is undeniable. Charles was never known for being forceful. He prefers diplomacy, calm conversation, and reflection. Camilla, on the other hand, is direct, strategic, and, according to some, unrelenting. Their dynamic has always been unusual, a love forged in controversy, tested by decades of public opinion. But now, as king and queen, their personal relationship is directly tied to the functioning of the monarchy. And if Camilla's ambitions keep growing unchecked, the consequences could be more than personal. They could be institutional. The British monarchy is standing at one of the most delicate crossroads in its modern history. On the surface, things may appear orderly. Public ceremonies are still carried out, tradition is maintained, and the royal family remains an enduring symbol of continuity. But behind palace walls, the old guard is shifting, and nothing feels truly stable. King Charles entered his reign with the intention of leading a more streamlined, modern monarchy, one that reflects 21st century values while preserving its sacred heritage. But that vision is increasingly at odds with what's unfolding in real time. The rise of Queen Camilla's influence, though subtle to the public, is being felt deeply within palace circles. Insiders say she's not just participating, she's directing, shaping, and, at times, overpowering. This isn't just a matter of personal dynamics anymore. It's becoming a constitutional concern. A monarchy only functions when the balance of power is clear. Charles was crowned king, not co-king. Yet as Camilla takes on roles that would once have been unthinkable for a consort, the lines are beginning to blur. Senior courtiers are growing uneasy. Some worry that Camilla's assertiveness may alienate younger royals like Prince William and Princess Catherine, who are already preparing for their future roles. Others believe her growing involvement might fracture the fragile public trust that the monarchy depends on, especially in an age where even royals are not immune to criticism, cancel culture, or declining relevance. And then there's the bigger question, the succession. If Charles continues to withdraw and Camilla's prominence keeps rising, will the public accept her influence in shaping the next chapter of the monarchy? Or will there be pushback from within the family itself? What happens in the next year could quietly reshape the institution for decades to come. And if Charles doesn't reclaim control soon, the monarchy may not look the same when William eventually takes the throne. So what now? Will Charles find the strength to reassert control over his own reign? Will Camilla recognize the toll her ambitions are taking on her husband? Or are we witnessing the beginning of a deeper unraveling, one that could fundamentally alter the monarchy as we know it? One thing is clear, the king is tired, the queen is rising, and the palace is holding its breath, because history doesn't always repeat itself, but often rhymes. And if this pattern continues, we may soon see a shift no one ever predicted. The crown weighs heavy, and for Charles, that weight is becoming harder to carry. Thank you for watching and subscribe for more content.